Hello and welcome. In this session, we are going to see some of the cloud providers for MongoDB non-relational database or NoSQL database. So as you can see on the screen, we have the MongoDB logo with a green leaf sign. And basically, we are going to talk about three topmost service providers in cloud for MongoDB. You have Google Cloud, AWS, and Azure. So this is an interesting slide which talks about the ranking of MongoDB in DB Engine. So DB Engine ranks the ranking of relational and non-relational database. If you and this keeps on changing very frequently. If you talk about the non-relational database, NoSQL database, which is a document database in case of MongoDB. It is lying at the fifth position at the overall DB engine ranking. But in case of the NoSQL database, this is considered as the number one NoSQL database, which is a document based database. This is all about why MongoDB, what is the status of MongoDB in terms of the ranking in overall all relational and non-relational database. So this is considered to be number one NoSQL database and has been in industry for a very long time because of its features, which is comparable to any other NoSQL database. And there are a lot of things which are coming from the cloud providers, and we are going to see some basics about that. So we are going to see something about the MongoDB in AWS. So in AWS, Amazon AWS Cloud, MongoDB is launched. It has been launched as Amazon Document DB because MongoDB it exists as a document DB database. So it has been launched as document DB in AWS. So there is nothing, no word like MongoDB in case of AWS. The managed instance of document DB is considered as the MongoDB database, but it is in but it is mentioned as with MongoDB compatibility, right? So Amazon Document DB is nothing but a managed instance of MongoDB, which is offered by AWS. It is one of the fast, scalable, and highly available NoSQL database, which is available in the form of document database. So the data is available in the form of document, and in document DB, it is very easy to store, query, and do some kind of indexing on the data which is stored in the form of JSON. So you talk about the small amount of data, the medium amount of data, or the largest amount of data which you can be considered. It can be stored in your MongoDB cluster, which is available as a document DB in case of AWS. And the first thing which starts with analyzing your on-premises environment and trying to shift your workload or move your workload from on-premises to AWS cloud. So AWS provides some inbuilt tools which is known as DMS. So either it is your homogeneous environment. That means if you have on-premises MongoDB, that you can use DMS. So it is going to connect to your source environment, which is on premises. And once you have created the document DB on your AWS, you can connect to that using the DMS, and your DMS, which is database migration services, it is going to pick the data from your source environment, which is there in on premises, and it is going to push it onto the to the cloud in AWS, which is known as the document DB, which is a managed instance. So some of the problem with the NoSQL databases are management of different components of the MongoDB. Either you talk about the number of clusters which exist, number of nodes which exist, sharding and other things. When you have it as a managed instance, it is easier to manage it. So it's a basic about MongoDB availability in AWS. The next one in this series is Azure. Azure it provides MongoDB in form of Cosmos DB. So Cosmos DB is when they have launched it, it has been launched as a database at the global level, and it is a multi-model database service for any scale. So you talk about any amount of data, so it is able to hold that. When you talk about Azure Cosmos DB, the scalability and replication of the data, it is transparent to the end users. So reads and writes, you can perform it across the globe wherever your Azure data centers are available. When we talk about Cosmos DB, it is not just MongoDB. There are some other flavors are also available within the Cosmos DB, but MongoDB is one of them. So if we talk about the MongoDB availability in Azure, so we will say Azure Cosmos DB is a component which is available, and the way it is going, it is being offered at the global level. So you can have n number of instances of the Cosmos DB available, because Cosmos DB APIs, they support the MongoDB, so we say it is compatible with MongoDB. And as like any other managed instance, it supports you everything. Apart from that, being at the global level, the kind of the read and writes which is supported, it is awesome in case of Azure Cosmos DB. This is just a basic about that. Moving on to the Google Cloud. Google infrastructure has beaten any cloud service provider in the past, and maybe in the future also they will be coming on the top when we talk about the databases, especially in case of any NoSQL or relational database. When we talk about MongoDB on Google, so it is being offered as Atlas with the trade name which MongoDB is providing, but it will be on the infrastructure of Google Cloud. So you can easily integrate it with the different functionality which is available in Google Cloud. You can integrate it with the AL and machine learning. The global structure clusters are available, so you have highly available clusters. The data centers are highly available. So, and at the back behind the scene, traditional MongoDB features as usual, like in any other service, cloud service provider, they will be available here in Google Cloud. So these are the topmost three cloud providers for MongoDB. If we talk about, let's go to some basics wherein we say what is a NoSQL database in case you are not aware. So NoSQL databases are it's a variety of the it's a what do you say generation of the database which is used to manage the huge amount of unstructured data, and data is necessarily not in form of the tabular format the way it is being stored in relational database, where it is available in the form of rows and columns. There are some of the issues which are being resolved by the NoSQL database. When you have a database data which is highly volatile in nature and it is unpredictable the way it is going to volatile, so in that case you may opt for the NoSQL database. The data may be structured, maybe in some format of tabular format, it may be semi structured, or it may be no structured as well. So you may have the requirement of hundreds of millions of users. They will be connected directly trying to connect your application, and at the backend you need a database which should be highly available and that should be able to serve all the users at one time. So NoSQL database helps us in doing such things, wherein you will have the terabytes of data being exchanged or being stored in MongoDB in every hour. So in those cases, your MongoDB as a NoSQL database offering it serves most of the purpose. So this is what NoSQL databases like MongoDB provides. It provides better performance because you do not have the cross join between the tables, because everything is available within a single document which are stored inside the collections. You can index them and you can query according to your requirement. The only challenge which will be available over here is you will not have the SQL queries as structured as it is in your relational databases. So the kind of the query which you execute in NoSQL like MongoDB, it will be entirely different. And according to your requirement, you can scale it horizontally. So that is one bottleneck in case of relational database, but MongoDB removes that. You can add many shards and nodes as you require. So there is no strict schema design. That's why NoSQL came into the picture, and that's the case with the MongoDB database, wherein you do not necessarily be in the strict schema design, but that doesn't mean that you can put anything. You should understand one thing, like when you are going to start with the schema design, initially you will have some idea. It is not like anything you put and it is going to be helpful. So that is considered as one of the schema design thing when you start writing your NoSQL schema in MongoDB or any other non-relational database. This is structured. What do we say as the structured database data? When you have the data in the form of rows and columns, we say it is a structured data, or it can be easily formed in visualization using some of the tools. And if we talk about some of the non-structured data, like if you talk about the JSON format data, it will be highly semi-structured, non-structured, or structured as well. So if you are getting the data from image, video, document, or PDF file, if you they are considered as completely unstructured data. And if you wanted to get some meaningful data out of that, then in that case, if the data is highly volatile, in that case you are supposed to use MongoDB as one of the topmost choice. These are some of the types of the NoSQL database. So in this case, we are going to just talk about MongoDB, which is a document database, and it is stored in the form of key value pair. And we are just talking about MongoDB. There are other NoSQL databases also available, which are available in the form of graph stores, key value, or wide column stored like your Cassandra database. And there's just a repetition that has been repeated many times. What are the advantages of NoSQL databases? They are dynamic in nature. Their schema is dynamic, fluid. So shard is one of the greatest feature which is available in your NoSQL database like MongoDB, where in part the data can be partitioned into small and easily manageable pieces which can be stored on the nodes, from where the fetching of the data is it's going to be really helpful. The replication is another good feature in case of MongoDB. So replication, you can put it on n number of nodes and the data can be accessed. So it is why we say MongoDB is a NoSQL database. When you talk about MongoDB, the data is stored in the form of document, and the language which has been used, it is C++, and whatever all the popular programming language, they can be integrated with the NoSQL database like MongoDB. And if you talk about the cloud technology, this is becoming one of the topmost choice. That's why MongoDB is everywhere, and all the topmost cloud service provider, they have given it a very good place. What is document based storage? So if you can see, I have two curly brackets, and then I have given some name, then I have given department, then I have given skills. So you can consider it as the first column. I have given some value. This is second column. I have given some value. In the third column, I have given some 1, 2, 3 value, and in the fourth, you can give anything else. And if you create one other document, you don't need to give name, you don't need to give department, you don't need to give scale, you can give something else. And that is what the beauty of JSON. It can store the data in any in the format which is mentioned below. Either you mention one of these three values, or you can mention anything, whatever you want. So JSON is available as a microservices, and in terms of the performance, it is doing great because everything is available within one document. When the application is going to read the data, everything is going to be read within either one collection where everything is available in the form of document. So these are some of the features. MongoDB is a cross-platform document-oriented database, and it is the topmost choice for NoSQL database. And the data is written in the form of JSON. So if you put the data, if you try to insert, you can put it in the form of a JSON document, which is easily readable. And if you wanted to store in the document database, you can put it in the form of BSON, which is the binary format of the JSON. And MongoDB Inc. is still the proprietary owner of this MongoDB database. It is an open source NoSQL database which is used for high performance and high availability. So you need to use the basic ideas behind the high performance and high availability. So when you talk about MongoDB, the two terms which are most commonly used, that is collection and the documents. Collection is synonymous to your relational database table. This is just a basic comparison between RDBMS and MongoDB. In RDBMS, we say it is a database which is a collection of the objects. In MongoDB, also it is known as a database. In RDBMS, we say the tables. Here it is called as the columns. And in case of relational database, we say columns. Here it is known as field. And the rows are known as the documents in case of MongoDB. So the two terms which you will hear very often is collection and the documents. This is just an example of the JSON document value. So there are curly brackets, then there will be a field, then there will be a value. So this is just an example of a document. So this is just the definition of NoSQL, what it is. So we have already gone through it. So NoSQL stands for not only SQL, and those restrictions which are there in relational databases, they are actually solved in NoSQL database like MongoDB. And MongoDB do not have any kind of restriction like what kind of data will be stored, whether it is structured, non-structured, or semi-structured. And most of the time it is being used for the big data and web-based applications. And characteristic of the MongoDB, it is a schemaless, it is high performance because everything is there available within one collection, and you can index your data which is available in the form of document. And indexing is a very important feature which makes the performance robust in case of MongoDB. And being the schema less, you have the flexibility of using the way you want to use it. Replication and shardings are another big hits in case of MongoDB. If you wanted to shard your data across multiple shards, then you have this feature available. And this is really helpful when you go to the cloud, and the cloud native tools, they can be easily integrated with your MongoDB database. So there are different editions available for MongoDB, whether you talk about the community edition, you talk about the enterprise edition, or you talk about the cloud native MongoDB Atlas. And that's all. So just a recap of the capability in the cloud. So we have the three topmost provider. One is the AWS, which offers it as document DB. Azure offers it as Cosmos DB, which exposes the API for MongoDB. Then you have MongoDB Atlas on Google Cloud Infrastructure. And MongoDB itself provides the cloud service in terms with the name of Atlas. So instead of three, you can see there are four cloud providers, but MongoDB cannot be considered as the topmost player as compared to these three. So that's why we are talking only about the three. I hope it is going to help. Thank you.